All right, hello everyone. It's Coach S111. So yesterday, didn't do the best personally in the NBA Millie. I know this is a football show, but the strategy build that we talked about, would have worked and did work. One of the things I want to show you is yesterday we talked about multiple builds and having a purpose. And one of the builds that I did, and I just didn't put in Kendrick Nunn enough, but was to the Lakers blowout build. So with that build, I suggested loading up on both Lakers stars, maybe one Heat star, and then some folks that would play off the bench. I know I suggested Olynyk, who didn't do bad. He hit value, and Jones. Well, I kind of overlooked and didn't necessarily anticipate a Dragic injury, Kendrick Nunn, but we had somebody take down the Millie by themselves in a 102,000 person contest, and I don't know if they had a purpose or they pushed a button, but I would guarantee you most optimizers would not have put Kendrick Nunn in a lot. So the only real way Nunn would have played is injury or blowout, and I believe that even if Gordon hadn't have got injured, Nunn would have got a lot of minutes in the second half because the Heat were getting shellacked, or at least the last 7-8 minutes of the game. So it was a very, very positive game build and game script. So we want to take that into effect when we do the NFL tonight. So now getting to the NFL, we see there's a line of 40.5 for the over-under, and the Jets are favored by 1.5. So one of the things I want to do here first, before we dive into the spreadsheet, is take a look at the passing targets. So we see that Jets tight end, Chris Herndon, and Hogan, who got banged up last game, and Berrios and Crowder all have a lot of targets. They're all fairly even. Now, this is somewhat misleading because Crowder was injured, and Hogan got injured a little bit as well, or both of those guys would have clearly been ahead of Herndon. I don't think Berrios would have had as many targets. So you'll keep that in mind. Perriman is out this week. Malone is getting a few targets and is very cheap. So take a look at that. When we go to rushes, here's the thing. So Bell's hurt again. You got Gore, then rookie LaMichael Perrine. Now, LaMichael got 7 carries last week. I think they're probably going to want to get him a little more carries, and I believe Bell should be out again this week. So take a look at both running backs if you think the Jets can run. But I wouldn't sleep on LaMichael here because 7 of his 10 rushes came last week. Looking at Denver, the passing targets. You've got your rookie Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant leading the team in targets with Tim Patrick, Gordon, Hamler. Now, here's one thing that I'll point out is Hamler missed some time, and Hamilton got some targets, but Hamilton did not get a target last week, and they went to Hamler. So if you take a per game targets, Hamler would be up in between Gordon and Patrick. So I'd be careful with Hamilton. He only played 18% of snaps last week. Looking at rushes, right now, obviously, is the Melvin Gordon show because Philip Lindsay is most likely out again today, and Royce Freeman only has 5 touches. So I would expect Gordon to still get 80 to 90% of the touches tonight. I wouldn't expect that to change. Okay, now just going quickly over some of that, let's pull up my spreadsheet here. One of the things here is when I start this, I don't really come in with overly preconceived notions. I kind of just walk you through some of my thought processes and some of my ideas. So the only thing I did different today was I kind of put the possible strategies. So if we look at this, you're going to see that I have Melvin Gordon as the highest projected owned player, but also the most likely to be the highest scoring captain or highest scoring, number 2, 3, 6 player. One of the things, the other things that, I guess I would want to talk about is Crowder should be coming back. And he does have the best matchup rating versus any corner wide receiver matchup in this game. You remember we hit on Hamilton's playing less, no targets last week. We talked about Perrine as a sleeper. And Lindsey's unlikely to play, we just said. So here's kind of, with this game, you've got a backup quarterback or a third string in Rippon. You've got Darnold who struggled. You've got a lot of guys that have been injured in and out of the lineup all year. I would say statistical analysis and stats are going to be hard to really predict because we don't know who Brett Rippon's going to throw to. We don't really know who Darnold would throw to if everyone was there. We assume it'd be Crowder and Herndon, which it probably would be. We don't know what the running touches are going to be with Perrine just being healthy last week compared to Frank Gore, if they're going to stick with him or phase him out. So there's a lot that we really don't know about this game, and it leaves a lot of openings for potentially low-owned guys to step up and perform. So one of the things that I would suggest is, when you build your script, in this game particularly, pay attention to ownership. Because while I have Melvin Gordon as 27% chance to finish as the top high-scoring captain, it also means 73% of the time he's not. And there's a lot of these folks that, in relative to their ownership, they have a higher percent of succeeding. So one of the things that strategies that I thought of right off the bat was low dollar captain with locking in Gordon in the two quarterbacks and rotating. So you lock in both QBs and Gordon in the utility. You rotate your last few utility spots and you rotate low dollar captains you like. Okay? Therefore, you have a chance if one of them booms. Okay? That's a low-high total. I also think it's possible that even if they produce, there's some turnovers from Darnold and or Rippon. So you could go with a defensive player, the defensive team or kicker at captain. You could eat chalk, leave Gordon at captain. If you do this, I suggest leave salary, on the table. Because if you put Gordon at captain, that's the most popular, also the most likely to succeed. But you remember in showdowns, no matter the size of the contest, you still don't really want to tie. So in that instance, there are a ton of sleepers in this game, from secondary receivers to secondary running backs to kickers to defenses. You could do a double defense maybe. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do, but if you go Gordon at captain, I would suggest leaving a lot of salary sometimes on the table, just for the fact that it'll be chalky, and I think there's a chance that a unknown player like a Malone or a Perrine, maybe Tim Patrick catches another touchdown. Maybe KJ Hamler has his coming out party. So I think there's quite a bit of unknown that I think you can rotate that around. The other thing is projected in terms of points. My algorithm still has the QBs, if you sort this here, being less. Oops, wrong sort. If you being less than Darnold and the QBs being less than Gordon. But I know if you played it out 100 times, there's a great percentage of the time which the QBs would be the two highest scoring. So you could do a quarterback at captain, even though statistically speaking, that's not the highest chance of succeeding for showdowns. If that's the case, I personally like Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, the Broncos have the third worst adjusted sack rate. So he should have a little bit of time to throw today. And, I think Sam Darnold will produce tonight. So my personal, opinion, I don't see myself doing a lot of Gordon here. Okay. Probably not a ton of defense and kickers. So for me, I always talk about different strategies. But I think I am going to split my builds between low dollar captains, both quarterbacks and Gordon locked in, and well over the field with Sam Darnold at captain and get a little different Even sometimes run back Denver's defense against the quarterback. Figure maybe they get a kick return like last week, or they can get a defensive pick six because Darnold forces the throw, but he still produces some touchdowns. So that's kind of my thought process. So with that being said, well, one of the things I'm so bad at this is don't forget to follow me on Twitter at CoachS111, and don't forget to go to dfskarma.com and take our optimizer for a drive. Go ahead and purchase the optimizer. And I've won since I started at DFS Karma, I would say 6 or 7 contests of $5,000 or more using an optimized lineup from our optimizer. So I already have my data built in here. Let's go ahead here, and I know I have to hide this due to our agreement with DraftKings, but remember, last week we talked about different builds. You have to change. Let's go ahead and see what our optimizer says for cash build. Okay, so I'm going to see how much I can expose without exposing all of it. All right. So the cash build, is actually has the 2 quarterbacks, Gordon and Hogan, at the top, and maybe I can sneak just a little peek of somebody else, Crowder, and then obviously I can't show the other one. So it's very similar, strangely this time to one of the builds I suggested for tournaments, but neither here nor there. Now when we go to GPP. Let's say that the first thing here I'm going to do is play the huge tournament today. I'm going to play 150 entries. So one of the things I want to do is 50 of my builds I want to lock in Sam Darnold. So I got to clear out of this. I'm going to go back to the home part. I'm going to go to captain, and I'm going to lock in Darnold. Now here's something that I haven't necessarily shown. Since I have Darnold locked in, I want to add a stacking rule. And I want to include at least 2 players from the same team. I'm going to make it 3 for New York 100% of the time because I have Darnold locked in there. So now I'm back and that's in. And I'm going to change this from GPP. And I'm going for the big entry, the big dollar tournament. Make sure my stacking rule's still there. It is. I'm going to build my lineup pool. So now, if I'm a mass enter player, I'm going to say that 50% of my lineups I'm going to have Darnold in, or not 50%, 50 out of 150. So I've locked in Darnold here. So we take a look here. It's going to show me, obviously, it gave me 100% New York stacks because that's what I wanted it to do. Take a look at it here. 34% 5-1 stacks. Now, 5-1, statistically speaking, is one of the least chances to win. So I'm going to take this down here, and I'm going to say I don't want that any more than 17%. So these are just little tips and trades of the optimizer in which, remember, I say always make a change. I've already changed the projections, but I'm changing this here going along with the different exposures, so instead of just hitting download, and there's a chance I'll get some common lineups with others. Now, 4-2 has generally outperformed the ownership in terms of expected win. So I love that it's giving me 84% 4-2s. I'm going to roll with that. I'm actually going to make sure it doesn't go any lower than 75. Okay? Now I'm going to go over to my players. And in my flex, you're going to see the players that it has, given exposure to. One of the things I like to do here is I like to sort by points. So obviously there's 0 Darnold in it if he's locked in at the captain. It's only putting in ripping, 26% of the time. Let's see here. Has Gore. Since I got the QB there, I want to take Frank Gore to a max exposure of 25% because I want Perrine in some as well. And Okay, that's going to want him at least a minimum of 25%. Now, I like Josh Malone as a possible sleeper. Ballage has caught a pass here and there. I'm going to make sure he's capped no higher than he already is at 18, though. Who am I missing? Okay, it's possible Griffin could get a little sneak touchdown. Let's get him in one or two lineups. Wants me to reproduce some lineups here, or add additional to my pool because the computer isn't projecting, or my projections aren't projecting Griffin real well. So that doesn't surprise me. Come on now, let's go. If it doesn't go through this time, that means Griffin's a very, 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 very bad play compared to my projections. So we're just going to, for the sake of this video, we're just going to assume it allowed me to have Griffin in there. One thing I don't like, Noah Fant's exposure so low. I do believe Noah Fant's a good and up-and-coming player. Let's just assume I'm not going to hit the button and make it reproduce more lineups. Let's just assume it adjusted. So I've gone through, and I'm okay with the Broncos defense being in there some, the kickers, and I've kind of adjusted. So now what I would do here is obviously download my lineups and copy and paste them into my spreadsheet for DraftKings. So the next thing I would do here, and I got to get my spreadsheet off here. I don't know why that popped back up. But I would build the next 100. Okay? So I would now go back in here, and I would hit new build, and I would take the stacks, and I would now either clear it out or add both teams and say I want at least two teams, together. Therefore, it's eliminating the 5-1 stack, but you may want to leave that. I, in this instance, will pick the best lineups, after I export them. So I will not put any stacking rule in, and then I would continue with my build. So, this week, basically, kind of in summary, is I don't feel either team has been fully healthy. Okay? Therefore, I don't know exactly if we can predict where the ball will go. They also, one of them has a new quarterback in Rippon. And, the only thing we can really predict is Melvin Gordon's going to get the ball some. So what does that tell you? People are going to lean on Melvin Gordon. The common person is going to play Melvin Gordon. But there's so much variance in football. So my advice to you is play Melvin Gordon. But I would recommend, personally playing him a lot in the utility and, taking the points you get and hoping that the 70% hits in terms of 70% of other scenarios in which I feel he will not be the highest scoring captain. Your quarterback could pass, a receiver could get a few long touchdowns. Gordon could be held out of the end zone. So therefore, you are eliminating, quite a bit of the field, and you have a chance to win solo like the gentleman did yesterday. And in summary and the final thing, while some of the takes on here at times have not always hit, we've won some money, we've done good with some takes, but I believe the game predictions have been 100%, and we went with Kansas City. I know we went with Miami. We know we went with Cleveland over the Bengals, unfortunately, even though I like the Bengals. So I don't remember if there was another one mixed in there. So I'm going to stay hot with the predictions, and I'm going to call Sam Darnold torches them for 3 touchdowns, and the New York Jets put up 31 points and shatter the over-under, with Denver only getting to 17. So I have the score New York Jets 31, Denver 17, with it going over. At the very least, if I'm wrong about the points, I'm predicting a Jets win. All right, everybody, stay safe out there. Good luck this weekend. Let's finally get a main slate win for me. Not these side wins. I got to take week 4 down. It's been a little cold to start. Hopefully all of you are hotter than I am on the main slates. But let's focus here on tonight and getting some showdown wins and God bless. Stay safe. Follow me on Twitter. Sign up at dfskarma.com for our optimizer and our core plays. Have a good one. Out.